Hey, beware of spoilers. Captain America Brave New World could have been a better movie, and I think that quite a few elements didn't work. First, in terms of the plot, the general outline seems to be really similar to that of Captain America Winter Soldier. Political aspects, intrigue, and espionage, however, the results are not the same, at all. I believe that's because the villains in this movie are just inconsequential. In Winter Soldier, you have characters that we've seen before, Bucky and Hydra, and I mean Hydra as a whole. Even though there are specific characters, this secret society is the one that ties everything together. However, in Brave New World, we just get Sidewinder, the head of the Serpent Society, and Samuel Stearns, a guy that we saw like 17 years ago in The Incredible Hulk. And I don't mean to say that just because a villain appears on different movies and TV shows, they're now instantly better. But it's a disappointment when a villain has 10 minutes on screen and we're expected to care about that character. I know that for years, the MCU villains have been a criticized aspect of these movies, and I think that's because they feel episodic. What would be an example of a well-rounded MCU villain? Thanos. Not only did he appear in more than one movie, but he also wiped out half of the universe's population and half of the Avengers. Also, we should take into consideration that the villain in this movie is supposed to be like super smart. However, his plan is pretty obvious and predictable. However, Thaddeus Ross is an interesting character. Played by Harrison Ford in this movie, we finally get to see this character more deeply. Of course, we saw him during The Incredible Hulk in 2008 and in Captain America Civil War more recently. But in this film, we understand his motivations, his desires, his preoccupations, his methods, and, probably more so than anything else, his fragility. This caused me a bit of dissonance at first because I never thought of him this way. He was always in the background giving a headache to the Avengers, but I appreciate it. He actually feels like a well-rounded character this time, unlike the antagonists. However, it made me feel like Marvel just wanted to set up Red Hulk to use in the future, but that's okay. I think it's fair, especially because the original Hulk is now a calmer, weaker, and more boring version than before. Sam Wilson was okay. I didn't think that they did much to work on his character, but that's probably because Captain America and the Winter Soldier did most of the heavy lifting in that regard. Joaquin Torres was interesting, but you can see that he sort of occupied Sam Wilson's place when Steve Rogers was around. Their dynamic is funny, however, I really think that it shines when they share the screen with Isaiah Bradley, and that's just because Bradley is such a complex but charismatic character. They just work together. But do you want to know what doesn't work? The CGI and the use of green screens. I know that Marvel has had a tough time locking in a team of VFX artists that work for every single movie, because Disney's not letting that money go away that easily. But the CGI in this movie makes certain characters look like rubber, almost as if they were made out of Play-Doh. And the misuse of green screens appear at the least expected moments, where you wouldn't think that it was actually that hard to use a green screen properly. My guess is that the reshoots had something to do with it, and they didn't have that much time to work in the visual effects, even though the movie itself was delayed quite a bit. In short, I don't know what to make of this. At times, it feels more like a Thaddeus Ross movie than a Captain America film, and not because Thaddeus Ross has a lot of screen time, but just because he's the only character with an actual development arc that draws the audience's attention. Some reviewers have said that this movie was slow, however, I don't actually think that. The pacing was okay. However, some action scenes felt a bit choppy and kind of rushed. I believe that the best action scene was the fight between Captain America and the Red Hulk. However, this is just a 5-minute sequence at the end of the movie. Honestly, without Ross, this movie would have been much worse. The script is not quite there, the CGI feels unfinished, and the rest of the characters seem a bit flat. That's why I'm giving this movie a 6 out of 10. I really hope that the Fantastic Four movie is much better than this. But what do you think? Do you give it a higher or lower score? Comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and for now, I'm out.